Now, before I really get into this review, I know what you're probably thinking. Why are you reviewing Backlash 2018? A bit of a random review. What is this? Okay, so now we're currently in the post-WrestleMania time period. Usually, back in the golden days of wrestling, Ruthless Aggression era, Attitude era, they'd be building towards Backlash. So I'm going to review a Backlash show, and I thought I'll review the most recent one, 2018. Now, it helps for the sake of my content that this show, Backlash 2018, was so bad, because that makes the review infinitely more entertaining for you guys as viewers, because you get to hear me rant about this just abomination of a show. Just, the booking on this show was absolutely just atrocious. Because, literally, this, they were selling as, the first dual-branded WWE pay-per-view, which was baffling because, as far as I'm concerned, dual-branded means Raw and SmackDown. And, what about Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series? Are they not dual-branded? But regardless of that, we'll just move that to the side. We'll just scooch it over for a second. Backlash 2018. This show, basically, it was the worst pay-per-view of 2018. I mean, if we're not including Crown Jewel, it was the worst pay-per-view of 2018. Crown Jewel 2018 I hate that show, but I think that Crown Jewel is just a bit worse than this, but this was just terrible. This show went 3 hours and 20 minutes in length. Thank God it didn't go 4 hours and 10 minutes like Money in the Bank this year, but oh my god. So this show, I'm going to do a pretty kind of, I don't know how I'll do this review. Basically, the Intercontinental title match to open the show between Miz and Rollins, I'm going to review in pretty good detail. And after that, I'm just going to fly through this show. So the review shouldn't be too long. This isn't going to be a WrestleMania 17 or anything, don't worry. Just a video for today, getting you guys kind of looking back and laughing at this show. Because I'm looking back at the 2018 time period, because so many bad shows took place in 2018. It was a horrible year for content, so that's what I'm doing for the kind of channel at the moment, or in this kind of time period. Anyway, without further ado, just get into this review. So, as mentioned, this was WWE's first dual-branded pay-per-view, which made no sense. Came to some Newark, New Jersey. Newark, whatever. From here, we open the singles match, the IC title. Seth Rollins defending against The Miz. So, the opener, pitting Rollins, who was absolutely on fire at this time, against The Miz, the IC title. This coming off the heels of WrestleMania 34, where Rollins won the title from Miz and Balor in that triple threat opener, which is really good. So, from here, these two guys went out and had match of the night by far. So, we'll get into the action. Miz took Rollins to ringside early and drove him into the steel steps. Miz then worked over Rollins with some rest holds. Then Rollins, missed a super kick, and Miz DDT'd him for a near fall. Rollins would take advantage of some arrogance by the Miz, executing a sling blade, then sending Miz to ringside for delivering a suicide dive. Pretty much, one thing I'm going to say now with Seth Rollins in this time period, the whole Monday Night Rollins, Seth Rollins when he was on absolute fire in this time period, he was actually cool as the babyface Intercontinental Champion. He wasn't forced to a point where you didn't want to see him, which is always the thing with WWE. When guys are flying under the radar and they're using them well, the fans actually like them. But then World Wrestling Entertainment, Vince McMahon, Bruce, all these guys, they'll push these wrestlers to a point where you don't really want to see them anymore when they're in the main event. Like when Rollins got moved into the main event in 2019, by the end of 2019, people wanted him nowhere near the TV at all. People wanted Rollins off TV altogether. So anyway, we'll move on. The crowd in Newark absolutely went nuts. So from here, Rollins reversed a skull-crushing finale by falling through into a near fall. Then Rollins hit a diving neckbreaker on Miz for a 2 count. This led to Miz legging Rollins on the apron. Then Rollins caught a crossbody into a side slam for another 2 count. From here, Rollins delivered a sensational top rope frog splash to the Miz. The visual slow-mo of Rollins doing the mid-air frog splash. The frog splash. But the slow-mo, so you see Rollins in mid-air doing the motion. It looked amazing. That was so cool. So this is awesome chance began. From here, Miz blocked another Rollins suicide dive with a big right-hand punch. Then the two exchanged some offense on the apron. This led to Miz sending Rollins knee first in the ring post, which looked brutal. From here, Miz applies a figure 4. Rollins then reverses the pressure and finally gets it broken. Then they did this awesome exchange where Miz rolled through on Rollins. Rollins' knee then gave out. They're really selling the knee of Rollins. It was a really good little story for this match between Miz and Rollins. The Miz is someone who I've never loved the Miz personally. Most of his career, I can't stand him. And a bunch of that's just I want him off TV altogether. Not that I want to see him get beat up by the opponent. For example, WrestleMania 27 when he was in the WWE Championship main event, I was just disgusted that wasn't CM Punk. I didn't care that Miz was in the main event. He was a heel that Cena needed to beat up. I didn't care. So, The Miz, his best work was on SmackDown with Ziggler in 2016. Outside of that, never cared for The Miz. Anyway, from here, Miz hit a second skull-crushing finale, but yet again, Rollins kicked out. From here, they did this awesome roll-up exchange that culminates in Rollins stomping The Miz and pinning him 1-2-3 to retain the IC title. So, amazing match here. And then, following this, this match I gave 4.25 stars, went for 20 minutes 30 seconds. Rollins retains the Intercontinental title. After this, the show took a big nosedive. I'm sure you guys will be entertained listening to me rip it apart. So, from here, we went straight to the singles match for the Raw Women's Championship. Nia Jax defending against Alexa Bliss. The whole bullying storyline with Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss was absolutely god-awful. It was really, really bad. The bullying storyline, it was really bad. The whole thing was just nauseating. Alexa Bliss was playing this heel who went from bullying Nia Jax in the build-up to WrestleMania about how fat she was and how no one will ever love her because she's overweight. And then from here, Nia then got accused of being the bully in the build to Backlash. So Alexa Bliss accused Nia Jax of bullying her. And it's just okay, this is captivating television. This whole storyline was an ad for Be a Star, which is the most hypocritical campaign because of how much bullying and politics goes on backstage in WWE. But anyway, we'll ignore that. So basically, if you follow the channel, you would have seen the WrestleMania 34 review, and I talked about this in more detail there, but the whole bullying storyline is just a joke. Anyway, if you follow the channel also, you know that I don't care for either of these two women. Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, I don't really care. Nia Jax, what's she done in her career? She's most famous for botching and punching Becky in the face and having Becky's nose break open and causing Becky Lynch's success. And Alexa Bliss has no talent, but she's hot, so therefore people love her. Whatever. Anyway, I'm not going to waste you guys' time reviewing this match because who cares? This is a 2-year-old match between Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss. No one cares. Basically, this is a synopsis of the match in about 5 seconds. Bliss wore down Nia. Nia did some power moves. Bliss DDT'd Nia on the steps. Bliss couldn't pin Nia, and then Nia beat her. So there's your review. This match was garbage. And then afterwards, Nia Jax cut this horribly forced, disingenuous Be a Star bullying, anti-bullying promo about how her victory stands up for everyone who's been bullied, and that she does this for everything she went through when she was bullied, and she stands up for anti-bullying, just whatever. I gave this 1.5 stars, 10 minutes 46, Nia retains, moving on. From here, we get a recap of the BS Steel Cage match, featuring Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in Greatest Royal Rumble, where that was just a mess. That whole thing where, Reigns spears Lesnar through the cage, and then Lesnar hits the ground first, but Reigns' feet here was an absolute disaster, so anyway, just forget that even happened. From here, we went to our next match, singles match for the US title, Jeff Hardy defending against Randy Orton. Now, on paper, this is pretty good. Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton, US title, but in reality, it was just alright, kind of dull. It was nowhere near as good as their match at Hell in a Cell, which was amazing. I'm going to review that eventually, but it was nowhere near as good as that. This match, it was just fine, it was just whatever. So, early on, Randy Orton, got Hardy stuck in the turnbuckles, so he, had his, foot stuck on the top turnbuckle, and he was just beating him up. So, from here, Jeff Hardy took Orton to ringside, slammed him on the steps a few times. From here, Orton caught Hardy with some offense, and we proceeded to get the classic Randy Orton match for 5 minutes, where Orton's just kind of, stomping away, doing rest holds, controlling the pace. From here, Jeff delivered a whisper in the wind for a 2 count. Hardy then missed a Hardiac arrest, which I love that name for a move. That is great. From here, Orton hit his trademark DDT, and then Hardy literally just avoided an RKO, twist of fate, and then hit a swanton bomb to pin Orton. So, Hardy retains, 3 stars, 12 minutes, whatever, moving on. From here, this was just a disaster. Elias is in the ring, which whenever Elias is in the ring in a pay-per-view, it's going to be just a complete waste of time. Elias is sitting in the ring with his guitar. The crowd's pretty into him, so, he says, what does WWE stand for? And they chant, walk with Elias really loudly. So then he says that, he's talking about doing a performance. Then he says, if the crowd is silent, he will perform. So the crowd proceeds to cheer really loudly. And then Elias gets up, goes to leave, and the crowd goes silent. Elias goes to come back, the crowd cheers. We get this for 2 minutes. Really, Elias playing off the reaction. And then from here, Elias does the cue line for the New Day. I forget what he said, but he did some line, which was a clear cue line to get the music going. New Day's music hit. New Day come out to a great reaction. Big E has a marching band drum. Because his pecs and trap muscles are so big, the drum doesn't fit on him, which cracked me up laughing. It looked ridiculous on Big E. And New Day are we'll do a do a performance together. We'll do a dual band performance, Elias. And Elias is you're not worthy of doing a performance with me. From here, Aiden English comes out and sings to introduce Rusev. Rusev Day come out to get a great reaction. So they're saying they want to join in the performance. And then Rusev calls Elias a bootleg Bob Dylan and the New Day Booty Boys. And then from here, No Way Jose comes down with the conga line and Bobby Roode. Just a garbage segment. This went for like 15 minutes. No reason for any of this. This happened at a pay-per-view. This did not need to happen. This could have saved easy 15 minutes off the show. Utter garbage. Complete trash. Whenever Elias is in the ring at a pay-per-view, you know it's not going to be good. I don't think it ever has been good outside of WrestleMania with Cena, with the Doctor of Thugonomics thing, but anyway, this is nothing special. So from there, we go to Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. So this match was another one, nothing special. Pretty much Daniel Bryan made a singles return, WWE and SmackDown in like 2018. He had the WrestleMania 34 match against Zayn and Owens, where he teamed with Shane McMahon. Here, Bryan was in a singles program with Big Cass. Like, who really cares? Big Cass was like a big heel, but he never won matches, and then he just, petered off and then left the company. It was just whatever. He never interested me. He could never cut promos. He was just always this tall jamoke who could never cut the promo. As Enzo Amore danced around just like an 8-year-old on a sugar high. Like, that was always Big Cass and Enzo. I never liked them. The match itself here, whatever. This one's barely getting a review. Basically, Bryan hit a diving knee off the apron to Cass. Then Cass caught Bryan with a counter, and Cass controlled the match for a few minutes. And then Bryan literally just caught him out of nowhere. Yes, lock. Big Cass tapped. So I gave this 2 stars. 7 minutes 45. Bryan wins. Who cares? From here, we go to Carmella vs. Charlotte Flair. SmackDown Women's Championship match. Literally, looking back on this, I'm so happy I didn't watch SmackDown this time period. Then again, I'm so happy I didn't watch WWE in this time period. This show was garbage. So, literally, I have no clue when Carmella beat Charlotte to claim the SmackDown Women's title. I don't know why they made that booking decision, because I remember Charlotte won at 34 against Asuka. I distinctly remember that, because Charlotte beat Asuka's like 900-day winning streak just to keep the SmackDown Women's title. So Charlotte won at Mania against Asuka. This match was like 5 weeks after WrestleMania. Carmella's defending the title against Charlotte. So I don't know when exactly Carmella pinned Charlotte. The whole thing's just a bit messy. Did Carmella cash in Money in the Bank? Is that what happened? I don't know. Regardless, Carmella's the champion. I don't know why. Anyway, Carmella, she gets like a dead reaction from the crowd. Charlotte barely gets a good reaction at all. Pretty much this match didn't deliver in the ring whatsoever. It was just bad. It was really boring. Carmella applies a rear chin lock and some other rest hold submissions on Charlotte. Charlotte hit a big spear. They did some roll-ups. It was boring. It proved everyone why Carmella's not like pushed big time in the women's division. Her matches like this one were a bucket of piss. So in the end, Charlotte went for a moonsault, missed it. Her knee kind of gave out a little, and then Carmella did this botchy looking roll-up. 1, 2, 3. Carmella beat Charlotte Flair. Does anyone care? So I did there. Charlotte Flair. I'm sorry you have to hear that. Anyway, yeah, I gave this 1.5 stars. This was really bad. 10 minutes this went for. Carmella retains. Whatever. From here, we go to the no DQ match for the WWE Championship. AJ Styles defending Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, on paper, you think of Wrestle Kingdom, 9 or 10, when these two guys had an incredible match, and the things these guys can do in the ring together. But then you realize this is Backlash 2018. This is World Wrestling Entertainment 2018, ran by a 72 or 73-year-old Vince. And Kevin Dunn and all these guys, Michael P.S. Hayes. So the match is going to be overproduced, horribly booked, and sure enough, that's what this was. Like, this whole Styles Nakamura feud was a complete disappointment. Like, the WrestleMania 34 match was in first gear. Also, it wouldn't outshine Brock and Roman in the main event. This match here was just like the 34 match, a big disappointment. In hindsight, I simply don't understand why Shinsuke Nakamura wasn't given the title. Like, I guess it's because of his lack of mic skills, but still, he should have been given the title at some point. Because literally, after this AJ Styles feud Nakamura had, he then was just moved to the mid-card ever since. Because he had the US title reign for like 6 months in 2018, then he had the IC title run for like 7 months in 2019. Like, who cares? I mean, this heel version of Nakamura, he used his mysterious style early on. I guess that's what you call Nakamura's style. I don't know what other word, his mysterious style, to piss off Styles early. Styles went for a massive dropkick, but Nakamura held himself against the ropes, so Styles crashed and burned to the mat. They then went to ringside. Styles hit a splash on Nakamura onto the barricade. Then Nakamura hit a big knee to Styles on the apron. Nakamura then took control of Styles and worked him around, the other side of the ring. From here, Nakamura tossed Styles in the timekeeper's area. Then Styles hit a forearm on Nakamura. They got back into the ring. Nakamura locked in yet another rest hold. Nakamura hit the ribs of Styles. Then he went up to the middle of the rope and delivered this sick-looking diving knee strike. That looked cool. That was the best moment in the match by far. Just a regular Nakamura knee strike. Finally, 15 minutes into the match, Nakamura goes and grabs a steel chair. Keep in mind, this is a no DQ match. Okay, nothing about this was no DQ. It was just a regular match, and then a steel chair got involved 15 minutes in. What part of that's no DQ? So from here, Nakamura tosses Styles onto the chair for a 2 count. Then Shinsuke lines up a Kinshasa. Then Styles literally gets a chair and just tosses it at Nakamura's knee. And then that looked botchy. From here, Styles delivered a forearm strike to the back of Nakamura's neck. By this point, Styles' left cheek had a bit of a cut, which is bleeding. From here, we get this was bizarre. Styles low blows Nakamura low blows Styles, and Styles low blows Nakamura back. So both guys down. So they did this separately. So they did one little low blow sequence. They're both kind of down, and then they do the finish. Quotations around finish. Both guys are kind of drowsy. They do this horrid looking double low blow spot. It looked horrific. So both guys then laid out holding their crutches, and then the referee counts to 10, double count out. Brilliant. Just what this match needed. I gave this 2.5 stars. This was garbage. This was a no DQ match. No weapon was introduced until 15 minutes into the match. And then the ending was both guys nut-shotting each other, and then they couldn't answer the count. What a waste of time. 2.5 stars. Just this whole Nakamura-Styles feud was booked awfully. So that was that. From here we go to a Monday Night Raw match you'd see in the third hour. Braun Strowman teaming with Bobby Lashley against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This screams mediocre Raw in 2018. Just completely unimportant, not pay-per-view worthy. The whole match was Owens and Zayn beating up Bobby Lashley, and then Strowman came in for 2 minutes and then beat up the heels, and then the faces won. So Lashley and Strowman get the win. Who cares? 1.5 stars, 8 minutes 40. Strowman and Lashley win, move on. From here we go to our main event. This incredibly disappointing match. Roman Reigns vs Samoa Joe. The fact that this match main evented the pay-per-view over the WWE Championship or the Intercontinental Championship, just a joke. So basically what they're saying is that Roman Reigns is more important than the WWE or Intercontinental Championships. Of course. Anyway, the fact that this match was a non-title and the way it was worked, it was just a disaster. Literally, before the bell went, so we got the dramatic video package, Joe came out, Reigns got lots of boos. So before the bell went, they did this sick brawling around ringside, that was really good. Samoa Joe drove Reigns in the ringside barricade for the timekeeper's area. He had a sick uranagi to Reigns through the announce table. Then Joe flung Reigns onto another announce table. They got back in the ring. The bell went after Reigns could stand back up. And then literally Joe went right after Roman Reigns. So the crowd's chanting, "Joe's gonna kill you." So that was awesome. And then literally Joe locks Reigns in a rest hold for several minutes, and that was literally what the rest of the match was. Joe locked Reigns in the rest hold for 4 minutes. Reigns eventually fights out. Joe locks him in another rest hold for 3 more minutes. And then they broke up again, and then they did a suicide dive thing. This whole match was just a rest hold. Joe applied a version of the rest hold again. He applied it for minutes more. The crowd was just booing because they were just generally bored. They sat through 3 hours of a pretty bad pay-per-view, and this was all they were getting. So Reigns fought out, he got some good offense in, then they got back into the ring and Samoa Joe delivered a big boot and sent on for a near fall. This match was just dull and boring. Reigns speared Joe, but Joe's foot was on the ropes. Samoa Joe then applied a Kikita clutch, yet another submission rest hold type move. From here, Reigns escaped, then Joe looked in another Kikita clutch. Reigns looked out cold, then Reigns got to the ropes, escaped a muscle buster, and then speared Joe to pin him. So that was the main event. I gave this 2.5 stars, 18 minutes 10 seconds. Reigns beats Joe. Overall, this pay-per-view, I just gave an E-. One of the worst booked pay-per-view events in the history of WWE. With the exception of that awesome IC title opener with Rollins and Miz, the rest of the show was just utterly boring and not worth watching. How the company found a way to ruin Shinsuke Nakamura and AJ Styles and their program, especially this no DQ match, it's just baffling. Can't be bothered. The fact that Reigns and Joe main evented in that boring 18-minute just rest hold fest, just garbage. The two women's matches were both really bad. The tag team match was a waste of pay-per-view time. Bryan vs. Cass was uneventful. The Elias segment was a joke. Just what a bland, bad show. So all in all, Backlash 2018 can thank its lucky stars that Crown Jewel 2018 happened that same year, because boy oh boy, was this horrible. So hopefully you enjoyed the review. If you did, be sure to like, comment, sub. You guys know the drill. This has been Backlash 2018. I don't know what review I'll do next, but this one's been really bad. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, sub. See ya.